Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being on time. I won't make you wait any longer. Everyone else is just going to have to catch up, but I'll do my announcements first. Welcome, everybody, to our webinar today. My name is Alexa, Operations Manager here at the BPM RIA office. Stands for Broward Palm Beach, Miami Real Estate Investors Association, the only approved chapter of the National RIA here in South Florida. So you're in the right place. Thank you for being here. And today I have amazing one of our new vendor partners, the Realty Medics. We have Tommy and Jason here today with us. They'll introduce themselves in just a moment. I'm going to give you guys a couple quick announcements. Holy moly, we have a giveaway today. This is going to be for you guys to lock in your brains, just to keep into consideration. If you are serious about working with the Realty Medics, they're offering a very generous giveaway today for being here at this webinar. So I will send you all a follow-up email after this webinar today, just with a note about this amazing giveaway that they're giving us. New clients receive 2 months free property management, 8% of rent, approximately $300 value, around there, depends on the property. So guys, as I said, extremely generous. We are not going to take advantage. We are going to take advantage of this, but we're not going to take advantage of the Realty Medics time if we're not serious. So just keep that in mind, and we will circle back to that later today. So some upcoming events. We have a webinar tomorrow. We're going to go into something different. As you guys know, we're really firm believers of mentorship here at BPM RIA. So tomorrow we're going to go into the power of mentoring. That'll be a nice and refreshing topic. I'm excited for it. Next week we have our monthly meeting, guys, with Donna Bauer. So if you don't know who she is, look into her. She's very well known. She is very much so mastered her craft. She is the original note buyer. Something different. Wanted to get something different in here, and she does know one of our vendor partners, Carl Fisher from Camaplan, very well. And so I think she's going to be awesome, and I'm really hoping that you guys really enjoy her and learn a lot from her at the monthly meeting next week. And then BPM RIA Quick Start coming around the corner, guys. Some of you know about this. If you don't, you definitely need to reach out to me. I'll put the link in the chat for you guys in just a moment. I'll pop a ton of helpful links in the chat so you guys know where to find all of this. If you don't know, you go to the website bpmreia.com and go to our upcoming events, and you'll find all of our events in the upcoming events tab. As well as Advanced Tax Advisors is coming back for a webinar. So look out for that one. You won't want to miss that one. We always learn something, and we always have an amazing special webinar offer. And then how to jumpstart your note buying business. Donna Bauer is coming back for a virtual workshop with us on Saturday, September 17th. So again, do not take these virtual workshops for granted. They're so helpful and they're so convenient that you can do it from home on Zoom. So upcoming events on the website, check them out. And my absolute favorite way to keep up with our events, as you all know, is the text messages. So if you want to receive a text message update when we have an event coming up, like you did this morning for our webinar today, text BPM REIA, one word, to our event line, 954-800-6961. I will throw this in the chat for you guys in just a moment, so you can go ahead and do that if you want to get text updates. And this is one word. So BPM REIA, one word, to our event line. All right, and quick start. I am still following up with you guys from the last webinar on who is interested in learning more about the Quick Start. I'm going to pop in a poll here. As you can see, we go into all of these topics. Many of you in here I know have already attended, so thank you so much for responding to the poll. And those who are interested, I will be giving you a call after today's webinar. And if you are from the last webinar and you are still waiting for my call, today is your day. I'm finishing up everybody from last week today, and I'll be calling all of you guys today as well. I'm making it my priority because I want you guys to get all the information and questions answered about the quick start so you can see if this training is a good fit for you. All right, and I'll definitely send you guys the website so you can see the 4 amazing speakers that we have on this training. We have 4 people from our power team that join us during this training, and this 2-day training is led by Anish, completely led by Anish, our CEO and lead mentor. So if you want to get to know him a little bit better, or if you wanted to consider joining the mentoring program, this training is where you should be going. So you can get to know us better and see if this program is a good fit for you. All righty, so thank you guys for responding to that poll. And moving right along, memberships, as you all know, we are partnered with the National RIA. Being a member to BPM RIA, we get a ton of amazing benefits from Home Depot, Office Max, Avis, Budget, so many vendors. So if you wanted to get that membership package and also get in free for the networking meetings, get in discounts for the quick start, special seminars, go ahead and get yourself a membership. This will definitely, all of your benefits will pay for your membership if you take advantage of them. And I recently recorded a webinar getting completely into detail on all of the amazing things that we get through the National RIA, through our local vendors, through our national everybody. So go ahead and check that out on the website, bpmria.com, on the memberships tab. And I'll put the link in the chat for you guys in just a moment. As many of you know, we do have one-on-one coaching and mentoring here at BPM RIA. It is truly one-on-one coaching. You do get matched with a mentor. We put up 100% of the money for our students' deals and split the profit 50-50. So I'm going to put up a poll in here just so I know who I need to reach out still when it comes to one-on-one coaching and mentoring. We offer a 1-hour free consultation to get any questions answered. You can actually go to the website right now and book a discovery call with me so that I can get you a brochure in your hands, as well as try to answer as many questions as I can over the phone, over that quick discovery call with you. But I would love to get you pricing information, a breakdown of everything we include. So go ahead and book your discovery call right now to get that information. And if that is something you're still interested in, I will be more than happy to schedule that 1-hour free consultation with you and Anish, our lead mentor. So thank you guys so much for responding to the poll. I really, really appreciate it. This is my direct line at the very bottom. I will be popping a ton of helpful links in the chat, like I said, for you guys. Last but not least, we always want to thank our sponsors, thank National RIA, thank our corporate vendors, thank our speakers for being here today. Just a couple housekeeping rules, guys. Tommy and Jason are going to, maybe ask you guys questions. You can go ahead and reply to those questions in the chat section. If you have questions for Tommy and Jason, go ahead and put those in the Q&A box. That's either at the top or the bottom of your Zoom. That's where we won't miss any of your questions. Definitely want to get into those questions that you guys have. Make sure they're good and applicable for everybody in the group. So yeah, don't hesitate to put those questions in the Q&A section, and put any comments or things in the chat. I'll be looking at the chat and giving you guys as much helpful information as I possibly can in there. So I will hop off of here. Welcome, Tommy, Jason. If you want to go ahead, introduce yourselves and just let everybody know what's going on today. Well, how did we even get here?
Sure. Well, my name is Tommy Wecklu. I'm the broker of the Realty Medics. Jason, if it's okay, I'll kind of give a brief update of where we came from and kind of go from there. So 2002, I moved from South Florida and I grew up in Hollywood, went to St. Thomas Aquinas High School, moved up here to Orlando in 2001. 2002, I started buying houses with my mom. She would be the realtor. I would do all the repairs, and then we would flip the houses and did pretty well. As time went on, pretty quickly, we realized that, we could be selling these houses to investors who would be looking for long-term retirement type cash flow, not something that they're going to flip right away. So we did some of those, quite a few actually. And then we met a group out of California, similar to yours, of investors who are trained to buy houses for long-term income. They're not buying them for 1 to 2 years. They're buying them for a long time. So we met this group and they started buying houses from us and buying houses from us. These are all houses in really good neighborhoods that have job growth, good school, everything that you would want in a perfect rental, not in areas where there's high turnover or those kind of things. And then about 2005 or 6, the investor group came to us and said, hey, we need a really good property manager. With the ones we've been using, don't tell us about things they're charging or bad communication, all the stuff that you may have heard in your, talking about investors and property managers. And for some of your newbies, I can share those with you in the future. So we decided to do property management. So I started that part of the business and quickly went from, one house under management to 200 something houses in a couple of years, because of investors like you who were looking for an honest place to have the property managed by someone who also sold the properties to them, because they knew that houses that we were selling would be good rentals. Otherwise, if I sold your house that wasn't a good rental, then I would be out of business because I wouldn't be able to manage that house. So anyway, so we did that, got to 200 something houses and realized, wow, I don't know how to grow from here. I have all these people that are interested, but I didn't really have the systems in place. So a close friend of mine, Ben, who's my business partner now, he worked for NASA on the space shuttle, then he worked for Siemens for a long time. He and I were having dinner and he said, I can write a software for you that could make your life easier. And I was like, oh, okay, that sounds great. So we did that. And after a few months, he said, hey, why don't I join you and quit my high paying job and just about to have a baby and join your company for half the money? And I said, why would you want to do that? So he did. And we've now grown up to, over 1,500 houses under management over time. We have a very good reputation in Central Florida, very highly rated, and been in business now for 18 years. So part of our business structure is we help the investors find the houses. If there's any repairs needed, we can help do that as well, because most of you are not in our area. And then we monthly manage it for the long term. These are properties that you're planning on keeping for a long time, and we'll get into some of the benefits of that as we go on. So once I sell you the house, then it's handed over to Jason, and Jason will then kind of fill you in a little bit what his role is from there.
Yeah, I'm Jason Hamilton, the business development manager here at the Realty Medics. I've been here since 2014. I knew Tommy for a long time prior to coming here, and I actually grew up with Ben in Seattle. So I've known him for close to 30 years now. But yeah, you purchase a house, we'd love to help you out. We can even help you through the purchase process on diagnosing what areas are good to invest in, and we have some great opportunities here for you today. So a lot of things that we do, other property managers around the country can't do. We've been able to scale the operation. We've got a former NASA engineer that's written our own proprietary software, and pretty exciting stuff in the industry. So happy to help out in any way that we can. And Tommy's going to share some opportunities for you.
So at the beginning, you may have noticed on the screen, it says we are still buying rental houses, right? So that's the big question, is why is it a good time to continue to buy now with interest rates that are higher and the values of the property are so high? Well, when someone tells you it's not a good time to buy, I would ask them, how many houses do you own? Because usually that person has one house. But investors like me are buying all the time. We're never stopping. We're always trying to buy more houses, because time and history will go by. This will just be a blimp in the radar, but you need to accumulate as many properties as possible in order for you to have a really good income in the future. It doesn't matter if you're 25 years old or 65 or older, you can still be buying rental properties in any market. Now, the good news is we work a lot with new construction houses. And the reason why that's important is there's no repairs for the first several years. Everything is brand spanking new. So you buy this brand new house and you don't have to worry about, is the AC going to stop in 3 years, or is the roof needed in 5 years? These are houses that are brand new to the highest standards of today's requirements by the state. So if a hurricane was to come, we know, obviously you guys know that down where you are, they have to have the right shingles and the right windows. All those things are required for these builders. So we're buying brand new construction houses, which is helpful because we're not competing against all the other buyers that are trying to buy in our market. And also the fact that they're new. So there's less issue, especially for the first time investor or a young family who's investing. It's smart to buy the new ones because then you're not going to be at risk of you need a new AC for $8,000 or $5,000 or a new roof for 15. Everything is much newer, and it's a much easier first time investment or multiple investments. We like to buy them because there's easy to manage. Everything is working, and the renters that prefer renting a new house than an old house. There's nothing wrong with buying an older house if you get the right one, but I'm just saying in this market now, we have found instead of competing for the resale houses that are getting offers over asking or cash offers, all those crazy things, we're buying the new ones where there's no competition and the prices are really low. So I'll give you an example. When was the last time you heard you can buy a house near you for $230,000? That doesn't even exist, right? So we're buying houses here in Central Florida for $230,000, $240,000, $250,000. The rent for $1,600, and I can always share with you guys the cash flow analysis. If you really have interest, you can email us and we'll send you all that information. But we're buying houses in areas of growth. Right now, I don't know if many of you heard of the Villages before. I mean, if you've lived here in Florida, you have to know what the Village is. It's a retirement community just north of us, about an hour north of Orlando. It's 140-something thousand residents that currently live there. But the developer of the Villages is doubling in size. He bought another 8,300 acres in 2019. So he's doubling in size. So that means from 140-something thousand residents, he's going to go up. He already currently has 40,000 houses under construction. So what we're doing is we're buying the houses just outside of this community and we're renting them to the people who work in the community. There are so many jobs coming into this area, and it will continue for a long time as this development continues to build. One very interesting stat, I'm sure Jason will get into this more, is that you're wondering why is it a good time to buy when prices are up and interest rates are up. There's so many people moving here to Florida. 7 out of every 10 of our rental applications are families moving here from out of state. 7 out of 10. So you can imagine the inventory would have to go through the roof to satisfy that many people coming here before properties are going to go down in value, and there's going to be a whole big thing that everyone thinks is going to happen. But we don't have that data. Our data shows that there's more people moving here than the amount of houses that there are. So we're going to continue to buy rental properties in every market, and we're going to hang on to them for a long time. And we'll make a little bit of money year 1, a little more in year 2. And by the time you get to year 7, 8, 12, all the way through, all of a sudden you've paid off this property. And now you've got a cash flow property that you're making income from every month for the rest of your life. And we're happy to share this with you. If you're a first timer or if you own 50 of them, there's excellent opportunities here. So I mentioned the Villages, that's the first one. We have great houses there to choose from. But we also are shopping in Palm Bay. Palm Bay is just north of you guys on the coast next to Melbourne. That's where all the space tech jobs are coming in. Thousands and thousands of high paying jobs continue to come in there since 2017 with really high paying people, which is developing this area. The reason why we're in Palm Bay specifically is Melbourne has a lot of older houses and condos and beachfront type properties, which aren't conducive to making good rentals, nor do these people who are moving here want those kind of properties. They want single family houses with a granite kitchen with hard floors and 2-car garage. And that's what we're finding in Palm Bay. So we have houses now, if you can even imagine, for $249,000 in Palm Bay, brand new construction with granite countertops, hard floors, a 2-car garage. So, when you're thinking about we're investing down where you guys are, it's very expensive, and I don't really see how they cash flow down there. But here at $250,000, they cash flow positive. Not a lot. I'll be honest, it's not thousands of dollars that you're going to make right away. But the goal is not to make it in the first year. It's to make it over to long term in an area that's going to continue to grow and continue to be a solid place for renters to stay. Wouldn't you say, Jay?
Yeah. I think a lot of people get caught up in the monthly cash flow as their primary focus, but what are you going to do with $100, $200 a month? It's really the appreciation on the home over time that's the real value.
Yep. So we've got the Palm Bay and the Villages. And of course, we are starting to see more properties in Central Florida come on the market that we may be able to find a good opportunity. But still, the inventory is very, very historically low here. So we've been focusing more on the properties that we know we don't have to compete against, and that we can lock our buyers into it and then immediately close on the property and then rent it out right away. Some of these properties are brand new in the sense that they take a while to build. You don't even have to buy it today. It's something that you lock in the price, and it might take 3, 4, 5, even 6 months to build, but you've locked in the price. They're even willing to lock in your interest rate today, even on the unknown of the interest rates. And then you wait for it to be built, and then we managed it at that time. But these areas that we're selling, that we're buying houses and we're managing, are not flooded with rentals. These are great areas that are mostly primary home buyers. It's not like they're full of rental houses that aren't going to be rented for months at a time or whatever. These are areas of a lot of growth that we continue to do. So again, we help you find it, we manage it, and then that's basically it. It's like owning a stock for you, except for it's a house. And then hopefully you are able to build that up over time and have a whole bunch of them so that you can set your life free in the near future, you know.
Yep.
Jay, do you want to talk about our management of some of the stuff we do?
Yeah, absolutely. So does anybody currently invest in Central Florida? If so, go ahead and drop it in the chat if you would. And if anybody does have any questions that come up along the way, you got the question and answer box right there. Please, drop it in there and we'll do our best to answer it live on the webinar. But, we talk about, where to invest, and traditionally South Florida was the hot spot, and it was years ago, but it's become too saturated. It's too expensive. So the trend has moved northward into Central Florida where it's very affordable. And we assume that it's going to continue to move further north into Gainesville and out west. But right now, Central Florida is the hot spot to invest in. And we talk about these new opportunities in Ocala and Palm Bay. And Tommy can tell you all day that these are hot spots, but why is that? You need some sort of definitive proof if you're going to make a decision on investing. So when we talk about Ocala, it's not just the Ocala proper. We talk about we call it Ocala, but it's Ocklawaha, Marion Oaks, Summerfield, Bellevue, Wildwood, Dunellen. There's a whole conglomerate of cities there, and they are expanding like crazy right now. But what they are is spot lots or fill-in lots where you may have a neighbor, you may not have a neighbor, but you're definitely not going to have an HOA. And the benefit to this is that there is really no competition for 3, 4, 5 miles away for the next available rental property. Years ago, we had, for example, been part of building out a community in New Smyrna Beach. There was 900 homes. They allotted 10% to investors, so roughly 90 homes. The problem with that is they were all on 2 or 3 different streets. So when 10 properties came available at the same time, it really became a bidding war. Now, since then, the properties have done very well, but there were some challenges initially where we don't have with the spot lots because there's really no competition. And no HOA is great. The HOAs can be very difficult. But when we talk about Ocala, what makes this place special? According to bestplaces.net, in the next 10 years, predicts that Ocala will have a 37.6% job growth rate. According to US News and World Report, Ocala is the 5th fastest growing city in the country. And like Tommy said, 7 out of every 10 applicants we get are from out-of-state applicants. And roughly 1,500 people a week are moving to Central Florida. So there is a shortage on housing, and we're creating the supply as a result. Ocala, a lot of times people ask me what sort of jobs are in Ocala or what kind of developments are going on. Well, first of all, most of us have the ability to work remotely, so they don't have to have a job specifically in Ocala. They can work in another state and just do it remotely. But for jobs that are in Ocala, Ocala is considered the equestrian capital of the world. There's the Equestrian World Center, so anybody that's in that industry, stable positions, training positions, have great opportunities there, and all the Kentucky Derby thoroughbreds train there in the off season. So it's a very big equestrian community. Marco Polo Builders is constructing a 320 unit complex with 2.2 million square feet of commercial space. Transwestern Development, 943,000 square foot warehouse on 63 acres is being constructed. Red Rock Developments is planning a 379 acre complex on 2.65 million square feet of commercial space. So a lot of growth going on right now. And Tommy briefly mentioned the Villages. That's kind of the big draw up there in Ocala. The Villages has grown 38% in the last decade alone. And now they're essentially going to double in size with this 8,000 acres and 43,000 more homes being put in. But a lot of people work in the Villages and can't afford to live there because it's really all 1%ers. They drive around golf carts, they have a lot of money, but if you're working there at a grocery store, what have you, you can't necessarily afford to live there. And you may not be able to live there because it's age restricted. So if you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, early 50s, you can't actually live there. So it's 55 and up. But you can live nearby in Ocklawaha, Summerfield, Ocala, and commute in, and it's very affordable to do so. Now the Villages are pretty cool. I'm sure most of you are familiar with it, but if you are of retirement age, there are 2,990 different clubs you can be a part of in the villages. Golf clubs, growth clubs, health and wellness, taekwondo, square dancing. We have the Jewish community and the Catholic community, and just everything you could ever want. So it's definitely a big draw. It's continuing to grow, and they're going to have to, provide proper infrastructure and more amenities and more jobs and more growth. But Ocala, there's also an Amazon warehouse that was recently put in, 617,000 square feet, AutoZone distribution center, FedEx distribution center, McLean, Chewy.com is located up there, Dollar Tree, thousands of construction jobs with the growth. E1 emergency vehicles, Lockheed Martin has a 400,000 square foot facility for missile production, Winco manufacturing, Marion West, Advent Healthcare, lots of jobs in Advent Healthcare, Closet Mate. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities up there. I do have a rental property up there myself that I purchased for 3 years ago for 186,000. It's now valued at 310,000. 3 years ago, I was getting 1,500 a month in rent. Now I'm getting 1,800, 700 a month in cash flow. And I've had great tenants along the way. So, if you're considering investing in Central Florida, Ocala is definitely one of the spots to do that.
But Jason, one of the main keys to that is, of course, the price. I mean, they're $230,000, $240,000. There's nowhere we can find houses like that are in areas that are quality people that are going to stay on time. They're not going to damage the house. They're going to be long-term tenants. I mean, our average tenant now is what, 4 years, I believe. I think they stay. That's a long time for a renter. It's a really strong average. So, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I wanted to definitely want to mention that it's important to know that we're not necessarily promoting the villages. We're promoting the area as a place to invest for the long term because of the amount of growth that continues to happen there. So,
another thing, when you're doing your research on where to invest and you're considering Central Florida, and really wherever you're considering, the first thing you need to do is find the right property manager, whether it's us or somebody else. There's a lot of great property managers out there. There's a lot that aren't so great, and your property manager can make or break that investment. So we hope you consider us, but we just want to make sure that you find a company that's the best fit for you. Another area that Tommy mentioned was Palm Bay. So Palm Bay is, in 2020, by Bigger Pockets, they were rated the #1 place in the country to invest. And again, by US News this year, rated the #1 place in the country to invest. Palm Bay ranks #2 in the Millikan Institute for best performing cities in 2021. And for reference, Provo-Orem, Utah was #1 and Austin was #3. So good company to be in. I personally have 3 lots down there I recently purchased. I'm going to do build to rent because I have so much faith in it. So that'd be Ocala and Palm Bay that I'm both investing in. And, it's going to be fantastic. But a good friend of mine recently purchased 60 lots in Palm Bay. That's how much confidence he has in Palm Bay. So, Melbourne, Palm Bay, which are neighbors to one another. Melbourne's kind of the hub for all the jobs, but Palm Bay is next door, and a lot of people do live there. Melbourne, Palm Bay ranked #3 in the annual U-Haul Growth Index, which is up from 23rd place in 2020. They're now #3. And people coming to Melbourne, Palm Bay in one-way U-Haul trucks jumped 32%. Growth rate in Palm Bay is 16.92%, and it's now the 16th largest city in the state of Florida. According to bestplaces.net, in the next 10 years, they predict 42.2% job growth rate. We've been doing some new construction down there for, I want to say roughly 2.5, 3 years. And it was all the same model, same specs, 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,710 square feet. And 3 years ago, those were getting about $1,700 per square foot. Excuse me, $1,700 $1 per square foot. They're now getting $2,150. So a massive increase in the last 3 years. And rents are up 23% in Palm Bay in the last year alone. So what kind of jobs? What kind of jobs they have? Obviously, working remotely is still an option, but Melbourne is big on the aerospace industry. Part of the Space Coast, there are over 75 different aerospace companies, which benefit you as an investor because most of those jobs are 6-figure salaries. We've got Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, Boeing, Raytheon, U.S. Department of Defense, SAIC, L3, Thayers, Embraer, BAE, SpaceX, GE, Leonardo, General Dynamics, Safran, Menzies, Airbus, DynCorp, Bombardier, Sierra Nevada, just a ton of companies there. And they're growing because the city of Melbourne is offering tax incentives for more aerospace companies to relocate there. So there are some others that are currently working to relocate to Melbourne as well. So a lot of opportunities with jobs. Palm Bay currently has a 13,700 square foot Bombardier building. They've got a 10,000 square foot Dollar General warehouse. Hampton Manor Assisted Living, 65,000 square feet. Pineapple Grove Academy, 21,000 square feet. Just a ton of jobs down there in the area that are supporting this rapid growth. So back to the Realty Medics and what we do. Finding the right property manager is really essential in this whole thing. We do have 1,500 doors under management, 54 people on staff, and we do operate different than traditional property managers in the sense that, traditionally when you hire a property manager, your one point of contact is going to collect rent, disperse funds, do accounting, do maintenance, do inspections, the whole shebang. The problem with that is that it's wildly inefficient because that person's wearing a dozen different hats every day, and it's really more of a reactive approach. But we chose a more proactive approach. So we departmentalized the operation a few years ago so that everybody has a specialty. We got leasing department, accounting department, inspections, maintenance, rehab, new business. Everyone has a specific role. The problem is you need to keep everybody on the same page, which is where Ben, our former NASA engineer owner, created our own proprietary software that integrates and communicates, keep everyone on the same page, automates a lot of the process, provides workflows and processes. And this is a software program that nobody else in the country has. A couple have tried to replicate it since, but it's really an inferior product, if we're being honest. But a lot of people are trying to buy it from us. A lot of companies not interested in selling at this point because it really separates us from the competition. But it allows everybody to become the expert at what they do and keep everybody on the same focus with what's going on with your property and what the next steps are. We do have a 4.5 rating on Google, 1,027 reviews. And this is very cliche, but we utilize best practices. And I say that because each department has their own mastermind groups they're a part of. We meet weekly with top property managers from around the country in San Diego, Seattle, Denver, Virginia, Chicago. And, it's a process where we're learning what's best, what's coming up, what's trends, what's new, what's not working. We want to make sure that we're staying on top of it and staying ahead of the curve. And so every week we're on these mastermind calls with these other property managers. We do offer full property management. That's kind of our bread and butter. It's a hands-off approach for you. There's nothing we ever need from you other than just communication. So if you have a question, or if we had a question, or there was a maintenance issue, other than that, we're going to handle everything for you. We do have lease-only services as well. That's where we just do tenant placement. But for the love of God, if you're in South Florida, do not try to manage your property on your own. That is a challenge from doing remotely. But hey, it's up to you. We have a rehab division, maintenance team, 4 inspectors. We have the sales division with Tommy doing buying and selling and all these new construction opportunities. I mentioned earlier that there are some programs that we offer that nobody else in the country does. One is upfront rent. So you have the option as an investor to take the entire year's worth of rental income upfront. And the reason we do this is because you can take that money and reinvest it somewhere else. Maybe it's a down payment on another investment property. Maybe you want to pay off some debts or start a college fund. You can get the entire year's worth of rental income upfront. And we partner with a third-party financial institution. They have $500 million to work with on this project. They're going to charge somewhere between 7 and 10%. So you've got to crunch the numbers, see if it's right for you. But the benefits to you, aside from getting the money up front, are if the tenant's ever late or doesn't pay rent or vacates the property or gets evicted, it's not your problem. You've already been paid out, you're done. We're going to have to deal with that as the property manager. So you can take the entire year's worth upfront rent. We also have a property performance dashboard, another software program that we've created in-house by our resident NASA engineer. And it's kind of like if you have Scottrade or E-Trade, you've got your stock portfolio account, you can see real-time data of how well your stocks are performing. Same thing here. So with property performance dashboard, or we call it the PPD, you can see the current value of the property, the equity, the cash flow, appreciation rate, cap rate, return on equity, forecasting models, gross rent multiplier, everything that you want to see as an investor so you can make educated decisions on what the next step is. Okay, whether it's a good time to purchase another property, maybe it's a good time to sell from your current portfolio or sit tight for the time being. Along this property performance dashboard, there is a vacancy page. So when your property is on the market, you can see how many showings, how many leads, what the traffic looks like, what the price is, anything you want to see related to how the property is performing on the open market. There's also a maintenance page where you can see inspection reports and rehab estimates. You can approve or deny requests. You can send money. You can speak directly with the maintenance coordinator. I mean, everything maintenance related can be done right there in that dashboard. We do have some additional protection programs: eviction protection, rent protection, and damage protection. So we offer these now because people come to us and maybe they had a bad experience in the past. They were self-managing, or their landlord just wasn't doing a great job and they had to evict a tenant, and that terrifies them. So we have an eviction protection program, $15 a month. If it ever gets to the point of eviction, we'll cover the cost of it. No worries for you. Rent protection: if your tenant ever can't pay rent a single month, we'll cover it for you if you're part of this program. And that's $20 a month. And damage protection will cover up to $2,500 beyond the security deposit for any additional damage. Maybe you had a tenant in the past that got evicted and destroyed the house and it cost you $5,000 out of pocket. Well, now you're covered. So you can do these protection programs, $15, $20, and $30 a month. If you do all three, it's $57. It's a slight discount there. Yeah, I mean, if you have any further questions or you just want to chat with us,
I'd love to see if you have any questions on how many of you currently own properties. If any of you have any properties in Central Florida already or looking to invest in other properties, I'd love to know some of that. Can you provide an example of rent based on the purchase price? Yes. So typical property that we have available now, let's say one example would be $239,000 and the rents are $1,650. That's the standard number. That's a very common rent for us, although the rents are still creeping up. We have houses that are in that $240 with $1,600 rent range. That's pretty common. No homeowners association, so that saves some money as well. And very, very low vacancy rate. I mean, I know most of us as investors want to use a 5% vacancy rate when we do our math, but when renters are staying for 4 years on average, that blows that out of the water. So we don't really have to even worry too much about a vacancy, because when they do get turned over for renter moves out, they're renting in just a matter of a week or so. And by the way, this is not just right now that they've always rented this quickly. This has been going on for a long time here. It's just a very demanding area to want to live, and very popular now as people move here. So we've never had an issue with renting properties. Anything that took over a month was rare. I mean, it was either that the owner wanted too much money. It's usually the case, and we try to warn them against that. But for us, if we don't get it rented in 2 weeks, that's slow.
Tommy, can I interject for a second?
Yeah.
So the rental amounts are they're good, but you got to remember that the rents are going up every year consistently. So they're just going to continue to get better and better. But your tenants are also paying down the mortgage for you while your home's appreciating. So you're gaining equity on two different fronts there. That's probably the real value.
Yeah, so I have a slide. I don't have a slide for that today, but I'm happy to send it to you. That basically shows you that on, let's say you bought a house today that's 240 range. You're basically investing about 60 grand, 65 grand when you put the 20% down and your closing costs. So you're in for say 60 or 65,000. But if you do the math over the course of a 5-year period, and you're using the rental income coming in, the renter's also paying down your debt. And also I used a very, very conservative 5% appreciation a year. And we've blown that out of the water over the years, but using just a very conservative 5% appreciation, in 5-year time, that $65,000 investment has grown 150% because of the renters paying down your mortgage, the cash flow that's coming in, and the appreciation. I don't really know of any other places that I'm able to invest that I can have this kind of return on my money with feeling safe. I know there's probably some crazy investments you can try, but for me, parking my money knowing that I'm going to get this kind of return over time is very safe for me, and I feel comfortable. I have a young family, so I'm not looking for any major risk. I see a question on what are the taxes. So the average taxes in our area is approximately 1.5% of the purchase price. So you can do the math from there, but that's very common with 1.5. There's one county in Volusia there that's a little higher, but in the areas that we're buying, it's about 1.5%. I have a good question. Who is the builder? We work with many, many builders, whoever has inventory at the time. So we work with a lot of different builders who can share inventory that they have coming up available or in the near future. A lot of the big builders like a D.R. Horton or Lennar, those kind of places, they're too expensive. they don't need to sell right away. So they're going to have the highest prices because they're not in a position where they need to sell right away. They're going to wait to get the top dollar. But for the builders that we're working with, they build not as many houses as Lennar. They might build 100 or 200 houses a year. And those prices are much better because they know that when we send them a buyer type of a contract, that either it's ready today or it's ready in 5 months from now, they know that our clients are going to go through with the deal because they are qualified buyers looking to invest. So that's one of the biggest ones that people ask all the time, who is the builder? That's the answer is we have multiple builders. So we don't, one question I see is the builder offering any incentives or a rate buy down? No, these are not those kind of builders. These are smaller builders. Like I said, 100 to 200 houses a year. They're just basically building the house at a very low price. So there's no real builder incentives to buy through them. We do work with multiple mortgage people, but you can work with anyone you want. I know there's a whole bunch of them that are a part of the group, but we do have one very specific loan that we can use for new construction that no one else seems to have. I haven't found another bank that has it. And it allows a buyer to do a construction to perm loan as an investor, not as a second home buyer or a primary, but as an investor. What that means is the house is just starting to be built today. Let's say you can get a mortgage from your bank that will give you the money for the builder to build these without them using their own money. So basically, you're financing the property to be built. And the advantage of that is we can get lower prices for the houses because the builder is not using their money. I'm happy to share with you that on a more personal note, but that is an option that some investors have is they get a construction to perm loan, they lock in the rate for the entire part of the construction, but we're able to negotiate with the builder a lower price because they're not using their own money to build, they're using your bank's money to build. I don't know if many of you have heard of that before, but that's something that's very popular here for us to be able to do. Another question is, do we have in-house financing? No, we just work with different mortgage people. We're happy to share you who we use personally. I know there's also a lot of them that may be networking through the group as well, which I'm sure they're all great people too. I haven't only met a few of them so far, but they seem nice. But we can recommend investor financing for you as well. Let's see, our short-term rentals allowed. Not where we're buying. We don't focus on short-term rentals. And here's why. You would think we would because we're in Disneyland area, right? And there's so many short-term rental opportunities. But in our opinion, short-term rentals is very risky because it's heavily reliant on the economy. If the economy goes one way just a little bit, no one's renting these properties. If it goes the other way, everyone's paying a lot of money for them. So it's a very up and down market to be in the short-term rentals. You can make good money when times are good, but when you're not, the property's not making any money, you're out. And from my math, looking in the past, I think I needed like 70-something% occupancy just to break even, you know? So that seemed like a lot of rental days I had to get just to make some money. And that number could be off depending on where you're buying. But we focus strictly on long-term property management, renters that are in there for a year at a time. We only focus on single-family homes. It's a good question. We don't do any multifamilies currently. We do manage multifamilies if you have them, but we haven't. Our Central Florida area is not flooded with opportunities for multifamilies. They don't come up for sale very often, and there's not a lot of builders that are building them when they can build a single-family house and they can make more money. So we haven't seen as many single-family opportunities. They do pop up every once in a while. We do sell a few in Sebring. That could be another area to look at, but as of right now, it's not as popular to find multifamily. Sometimes you can find them for sale, but you're competing against all these people who want these properties, and you end up paying too much for them, which doesn't make any sense. So that's kind of why we see that. Yeah.
There's not a lot of multifamily in Central Florida in general, and there is a lot of competition, especially from California investors when they do come in the market. But we've seen a lot of them have a lot of deferred maintenance, a lot of problems. Not to say that one you find will be, but yeah, there's just not a lot of them here in Central Florida.
The duplexes, yeah, the multifamily. Yeah, we're not building duplexes. I said it's a good question. Do we build duplexes? Not currently. There hasn't really been an area that we can really focus on to do that. And plus, they have to be zoned for that. A lot of counties, they're not opening that up as frequently as they do for the single families. Are we paying you a commission? That's a very good question. No, the builder pays us a commission. You're the buyer. Buyers should never pay commissions. In fact, some buyers are even told by their realtor that they have to pay for a transaction fee and an admin fee. I don't know why you guys pay, anyone ever pays for those for a buyer. As a buyer, you should have no fees. You're coming in as the buyer and the seller pays the realtor for selling the property. But another question that we do get sometimes is, what are they paying you? And these transactions will open book. We're getting paid a very standard, typical 2.5% to 3% commission. We're not in business with these builders. We're not making extended amount of money for selling their properties. It's just a standard commission that we're getting, just like as if we bought a house in any other market.
On a separate note with commissions, if you are a realtor and you do have an investor to refer to us, we'll give you $1,000 per door. You give us 5 doors, we'll give you $5,000.
That's if they're already managed, if they have houses in the area.
Correct.
So if you were referring a person that already has properties, we're paying $1,000, which is a lot. No one's paying that. But if you wanted to refer a client to us because you didn't want to drive all the way up here to show properties, I'm happy to pay a referral to do that as well. Our focus is to grow the management business. So for us, the commission that we make selling a property is not as important to us as the long-term relationship with the investor. So finding the right properties and getting them sold to clients like yourselves is more important to us than the money on the commission, because we really ultimately want to be managing more properties for investors. That's the big question. Yeah. I see a question. What's the average credit score in these areas? I don't really know how to answer that. The credit score are you talking about for the renters? Is that what the question would be? If you're asking what the average score is for the renters, we have a range. So when we qualify a renter for getting it rented, it just depends on more than just the credit score. Because give you an example, sometimes we have renters who recently went through a divorce, but their score is 600 or 580. But they went through a divorce and had a lot of things they had to pay for, and it kind of destroyed their credit. Well, that doesn't mean that renter is going to be a bad renter just because their score is lower. We look deeper into that to find out where they rented before and more about the person than just the score. The score does tell about people, but it's not always the definitive answer because it doesn't mean that they're going to be a bad renter. Some of our worst renters we could have can sometimes be the top credit score person because they think that they're great and they don't have to worry about anything. So really the score is important to get a rough idea about the person, but ultimately we look deeper than that to make sure that they're going to be a good tenant and this with a full background check. So we do full background checks on every single renter, very detailed, which keeps down the tenants not paying to a very, very, very low number for sure.
We do full nationwide background checks, but to kind of address your question here, most of the time you're going to see the credit scores between 600 and 675. We're not going to approve them below 600 unless you approve, depending on the circumstances, and we would charge a double security deposit. And above 675, most people are going to be purchasing their own houses. They're not interested in renting, but usually between 600 and 675. And another example that tack on to what Tommy was saying is they may, we deep dive into the credit report. They may make all the rental payments, their car payments, credit card payments on time, but maybe they got backed up with medical bills. Those are very expensive. It can be difficult for anybody to keep up with those. And so we diagnose why the credit score is the way it is and make an educated decision based on that.
Let's see, are there any other questions that are coming in? Love to hear some more about some of you and where you're currently investing, or if you have any interest in the Central Florida market. That's always good to hear.
Yeah, I love these questions, guys. We do still have, some time, so keep them coming. Yeah. I am getting some personal questions, and yeah, I see one just popped in, so you guys can go right in. Yeah,
so we're located in Orlando. Our office is in East Orlando here. We do cover from essentially Ormond Beach, Daytona on the East Coast over to Tampa on the west, and then from Ocala in the north to Sebring in the south. Roughly a 2-hour drive from Orlando. But the logistics and the coordination is really all that's happening here in Orlando. We do have vendors and inspectors located all over Central Florida. So, getting to Ocala or getting to Daytona is not a problem because the vendors and the inspectors are already there. We're just really coordinating everything here in office.
Good stuff. All right. Well, for me personally, and for our members, I just was curious to see some tips, anything, best practices on how to approach you guys, how our members can approach you, and how they can be prepared to work with you, and best ways to reach out and things like that, that you recommend, just to be the ideal client, if that's even a thing, but kind of just give us a better idea on that.
Sure, Alex. I do see one question here. It says, were you formerly the Realty Doctors? We are the Realty Medics. So the Realty Doctors is actually my mom's company.
Wow.
She owns a company, and that all she does is sell houses to investors. But she is the Realty Doctors, and we became the Realty Medics because the medics are usually the first responders to issues, and that's kind of how the property management side came. But yeah, so that's funny that someone knows that name. But my mom and I have been in business now for, since we said at the beginning, about almost 20 years. But she doesn't do any management. She just does she has a core group of people that she works with that she sells to. That's a good question, John, that he saw that. That's good.
That's so cool. Oh my gosh, that is actually awesome. I love that so much. All right, so yes. Is there any other questions that I missed here for now?
There's one about the upfront rent, Jay, if you want to mention that one.
Yeah, I just addressed it.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that.
That's okay. I'll let everyone know. It's usually about 7 to 10% fee that Steady, the company you partner with, is going to charge because they are taking out all the risk and they're fronting the money. So it may not be beneficial in your specific situation, but if you can reinvest that somewhere else and make more money, it may make a lot of sense. Plus, it provides a peace of mind of tenants not paying rent or getting evicted or vacating the property. It's not your problem. So you guarantee that income for the entire year. But yeah, they're going to charge 7 to 10%, and it's something you negotiate with them. It's going to be based on rental rates of your current portfolio and how many properties and so on and so forth. But
I mean, there's a great advantage to getting the money up front. I mean, if you don't have a mortgage on the property, then obviously getting the money up front, especially if you had multiple properties, all of a sudden now you get all this cash, you can go buy another property with it. And then obviously you just making sure that if you have a mortgage on it, you're paying that monthly, even though you got the bulk in your hand. But if you had 3 or 4 properties and you got all the rent paid up front, you'd have enough money to go buy another house. It's a unique to us opportunity to upfront rent. And like Jay said, it does protect you if the renters don't pay. But to swallow a 6 to 10%, depending on the area of the property, cut to take that money out, it only makes sense if you're going to use it for another investment, right? It doesn't really, you don't really need that money in your hand right the second, unless you're going to use it for something beneficial. That's the only reason why it makes sense, but it does help quite a few people buy more properties. So that's a good question.
Yeah.
I see here, just received a report that the Villages is one of the top 4 properties and to undergo property value declines in the near term. Well, I don't see how that's possible with the amount of people moving there. I mean, everyone thinks there's going to be this big drop in price and our data doesn't really show that based on the amount of people that are moving here. So obviously anywhere that there's been a gigantic price, it can always be subject to a big drop, right? But for us, the focus is not necessarily about the drop. It's about buying the properties as fast as you can, as many as you can, so that way you can have the retirement in the future. Because let's say we had another national disaster and the properties dropped 20%. Okay, so your house drops 40 grand. So okay, that seems like a lot of money, but in the short term it is. But in the long term, it's not. You have to get in the game. You have to own properties, and they have to go for a while to start making the money. This is not a get rich quick. You guys know that. This is a long-term investment that you get the property, put the money away, buy the property, and then let it ride and keep going. Because over time, the property will appreciate just like it always does and has for 100 years. So, there's reports. Everyone has their opinion on where things are going to go. If you talk to one political side, they're going to say this. You talk to the other, they're going to say that. But in our opinion, and in my opinion, I own a lot of properties, and I'm not going to stop buying because I know every time I have 60 grand in my hand, I can go buy another property. To me, that makes more sense than worrying about what the market's going to do. Because if I waited for the market, then I would never own anything. I would never buy anything. So the point is, you put your money somewhere, you invest, and then you ride it out as time goes on. One thing I will mention though, part of our service to you is we have other things that we teach you as you go along the way. And I know that the BPM is having a class about tax strategy coming up, Alexa. That's going to be a really good one for you to listen to because we use that ourselves. There's a tax strategy called cost segregation that you can use on your property that you get a lot of tax benefits from instantly right away that first year. I'm talking a lot, like a lot of money. I mean, for me, I did one last year. It was over $30,000 as a tax credit I got for doing this cost segregation to my property. People just don't know about it. They don't know these kind of tax savings, which I think that class you're going to have, Alexa, is going to open their eyes to a lot of really good opportunities. But we also will share you that information as well. So we're a full service brokers. We take you from hold your hand from buying the first one or to an investor that has a lot of properties all the way until the end, until someday you either sell or it's passed on to your family or whatever it is that you want to do. But for us, it's about long-term management. And there are some ways along the way as you build equity to take advantage of that equity, buy more properties or whatever it is that your strategy is. But we will help you set that strategy and share with you what we're doing. To give you an example, I'm 46 years old. I have a baby that's 10 months with my wife, and we're young. We're like a young family, right? So, yes, I have a 10-month at 46 years old. That is an old dad, but I mean, if it finally works, so happy. But we're investing for the future, and we know that when we owned a lot of our older houses, we had issues. There was constantly something wrong that we had to fix that was costing a lot of money. So we sold all of those and bought all the new construction. Now, if I could go back in time, I would have just pulled out the money in some of those and bought some new construction. But I sold them because I didn't want the headache of having a young family and dealing with all those repairs. So having older houses, is nothing wrong with that. You can have them make great rental properties. I'm not deterring anyone from that. But I'm offering is another solution on how to get more properties under your belt that are less of a hassle. And maybe you have properties in South Florida that, are worth way more money now, then you could sell that one and buy 3 here. We're seeing a lot of people from California selling their tiny little house that's $1 million and they're buying 3 houses here. So that's definitely something to look at, and we can help you with that strategy. That's part of the fun part, is getting to know you and what it is that you want to be succeeding with. How do we get a list of new construction in Palm Bay? We'll get your email and send you that information. That's no problem. They're changed every day because there's new ones available when they sell. So there's whatever I send you today will be gone in 3 days because they'll all sell, and then we'll have to send you another list. But no problem, John. If you want to reach out to us, we'll send you what we have available for sure. What is the typical cash flow on the 240 rental house? Well, that question. It depends on how much you're putting down. Are you paying cash for it? Are you getting a mortgage on it? But if you're doing 20% down, it's not very much the first year. It's maybe $100 a month or whatever it is. But for us, that's not the goal. That it's the rents go up the next year, the rents go up the following year. You're paying down the debt, so you continue to make more cash flow along the way. But at the beginning, with a 20% down house, you can't be expecting to make a lot of money. It's just not the way the system works, because the houses are just at that price point. But to answer your question, it just depends on how much money you're putting down or if you're paying cash for the property. And I'm happy to go through, if you want to reach out, Bruce, and talk to me about different scenarios. I'm happy to run through all those cash flows with you to see if there's a good option for you, for sure. Yeah.
Hey, Tommy, to piggyback off something that you said earlier about people waiting until the right time. We've got some of these same people that have been calling us for 3 years now, asking us, what do you think about this property? What do you think about that property? And they won't pull the trigger. And next time they call, I want to say, brother, you could have made $100,000 by now, but as it stands, you've got nothing. At some point, you got to make a decision. I'm going to proceed with this, or I'm going to back out. But just to continue to wait isn't going to benefit you.
I hear you. We definitely hear that all the time. You gotta make a move. You have to. But yeah, guys, any other questions right now? I'm gonna ask Jason and Tommy to, let you guys know how is the best way to work with them, especially with this generous, offer that they are giving us as attendees today, 2 months property management. So that's a big deal. And I definitely want them to let you guys know, like, what they need from you, how to be prepared, and what's the best way to reach out and work with them.
Yeah, if they want to, feel free to contact, got a phone number right there, as well as an email. But if they just want to let us know they're part of this group, I'll make sure we put an accounting request to give them 2 months free management. That's not a problem. And if they're just curious about more information on property management or what we do, I've got a whole detailed email with owner packet and videos and everything I could send over that will answer all their questions, and also happy to set up a phone call at any point to further discuss.
I see a question from Kathy regarding the construction of perm. And Kathy, maybe you can reach out. I can give it to you more detail rather than in this Q&R, just because it's kind of detailed, but I'm definitely happy to share that with you. It's a pretty simple program, but if you want to reach out, I'm available for you today, tomorrow, whenever you want to answer that in more detail for you. That'd be no problem. So
Awesome.
I would be interested in Ocala. Cool. Thanks, Vicki. We'd love to hear from you and share with you what we have. I can show you the ones that I bought, which are in the same area, and happy to share with you all the different opportunities. There's several that we have at the time. So
That's amazing, guys. I'm definitely going to send each and every one of you a follow-up email directly today. So look out for an email from me, Alexa at bpmreia.com. I'll be giving you their contact information. Just as a reminder, you know, you can always reach out to them on our website. They are a vendor partner. So if you are on bpmreia.com, in the vendor partners tab, you will see the Realty Medics there as well. But definitely take it, this is incredible. They are so generous. They're offering their time to even provide you guys with further information. So if you do take the initiative and reach out to them directly, definitely take in, you know, as much information from them as possible. What I know from them is they are extremely professional. They show up. They are very, very much in tune with what we're doing here. They are invested in you guys. So just from, I already I've been working with them this year, and it's already a huge impression they've made on me and how invested they are in our group and coming to the events and, you know, with their offers and taking the time to do this webinar with us today and answer so many of your questions. So if you guys have any last minute questions, go ahead and put those in the Q&A box and we'll get into those. This webinar, you know, goes as long as you guys have questions. So get those in. And I don't know if the gentlemen have any last comments, thoughts, anything popping up, calling you right now to share with the group.
I mean, I think the most important thing is that we have good opportunities here for whether you're a first timer or you're a seasoned vet. This is definitely a place to consider investing, right? And you have a team here that is been here almost 20 years, 18 years in the business, and really wants to help. And we go from the beginning to the end. So it's very important for us to find you a good rental house because ultimately we want to manage it, right? So if we don't find you a good one to buy, then it's going to be very difficult for us to manage it. And this whole process didn't work. So, but I do enjoy speaking to the people that are newer, just because they maybe have questions that they can hear from a different source. And I'd love to share with you my experience and how I got started, but definitely think that we can help you in an area that we know we can still buy houses that make sense. That's the key. Is there's not many places that are still out there that still make sense, and this is one of them for sure. I see Maddie said I'm also interested. Thank you, Maddie. Definitely reach out to me. There's been quite a few of you who are reaching out. So if you call me after this, just know that if I don't answer, I'll call you right back as soon as I can, because it seems like I'm going to have I guess that's the problem when you give out your personal cell phone, right? No, I'm just kidding. But definitely know that if I don't answer, I'll call you right back. But we definitely are interested in helping you and sharing with what we're doing here for sure. So yeah.
It's so generous. Thank you so much. We appreciate it so very much for being here. Yes, Tommy does have an email address. I will give it to you guys. I will go ahead and include that in the thank you email. It is his first name, Tommy, at therealtymedics.com. Hope I spelled that right. There we go. Everyone's put it there. That's perfect. So yes, I will send you guys a follow-up email with their contact information. Like Tommy said, he may be on the other line, so leave a detailed voicemail if you want to speak with him over the phone, or shoot him an email, or Jason. So thank you guys. Any last questions, everyone? So I think that was incredible.
This has been a great webinar. You do a great job hosting it. Your group is very professional. I can see why people are coming to you guys for real estate advice and information. So we do a lot of webinars, and this one is definitely one of the best ones that I've been a part of, as far as the ease of it, working with you, and also being able to communicate with the clients. So thank you for that. It's a great experience.
Oh my gosh, thank you guys so much. And thank you guys for being in this webinar today. You guys absolutely killed it. You didn't let me down. I love that. Thank you guys for always coming back. You know, we do a ton of webinars here too, and it's been so easy working with you guys, both for in-person and online events. So nothing but great things on my end. And again, guys, look out for the email from me. You know, you can always find them on our website. If you go to their website, you can find, you know, all their social media accounts that I was popping in the chat during this webinar. But they're posting on YouTube, they're posting on Instagram. So go ahead and follow them and learn from them and reach out and, you know, get the information that you're looking for. Don't just sit there wondering and waiting and wishing and hoping. Like, take action. Like we always say here at BPM RIA, it's very important to take action. So great to get all this knowledge, but what are we going to do with it if we don't take action? So thank you guys once again for being here today. This replay will be available on our YouTube channel that I will send you guys in the follow-up email. If you love this webinar and you learned a lot from it, please give us a 5-star review. And yes, thank you so much, JP. I completely agree. Great information today. Thank you once again, Tommy and Jason. Amazing information. And definitely go ahead and watch this replay on our YouTube channel. Subscribe, like, comment, everything. And we would love it if you gave us a 5-star review. And thank you guys. We'll see you, all of our BPM RIA family. We will see you on Zoom again tomorrow. I hope. We're coming back with another great webinar with our mentors on literally mentoring, like the best thing ever. So yeah, have a great day, everyone. Thank you again, guys, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Thank you, guys.